Welcome, I'm Little Cubes and this is just another redstone video. Today we'll be working on command blocks for an always night system. In later videos we'll be doing our strong mobs and our players health add-ons that I'm using in my village and pillage world. But we're going to start over here today. First things first, you want to set your time, set night. Mine's already set to night, so that won't change over there at all. And you want to, let's see, what else was it? You want to game rules. That's right. Game rule. Do day-night cycle. Set that to false. Mine's already false. And set here. Game rule. You'll start with the word game rule. Why do I always do that? Command blocks, you can leave this off during your world output, but when you're testing it out, you can leave it on. But when you're playing your world, you want to set it to false, otherwise it'll fill your chat continuously. Alright, now that we got those set up, we're going to come over here to where it all begins. Actually, yeah, we'll just start over here. So I'll probably put the full command without the moving of it down here or something so you can read it. But what we're gonna do, we need to set up scoreboards. Here, I've got mine copy pasted. Okay, you want to set up two scoreboards. A scoreboard objectives add the name is clock, which we got over here, which we're going to use to count the ticks of the game, and you're going to set it to a dummy variable so it doesn't, so you can set it to whatever you want. And hang on, I should have done that. And we're also going to create another one. I called it number. And we're calling it number because we're going to test if like the time is nighttime, which is 13,000. And we're going to use those and add players in. So if, yes, that already exists. That's why I didn't want to click enter. And, okay, like right here. Okay, so execute if the day clock, you're going to add a player today that if you don't want it to start right away, which I don't, I set it to -2, so set it to a negative number on day if you don't want it to start. So execute if the score of day, the clock over here, is greater than or equal to number 0. Right here. This is the player 0 in the scoreboard we just created called number. Set that player's score to 0. So whenever you see one of these, you set the name, which is right here, to the same number that it says of your scoreboard right there. And I'm going to close that, and then if it's greater than or equal to 0, run the scoreboard, add 1 to clock. So that's going to start counting up. And once we set this to 0, it's going to start counting up, which we're going to start that right now because the time's going to go, we need the time to start going by while we're doing this video so you can see it tested out. So we're going to scoreboard, player set, called it day, capitals in these blue text, which is the name do matter, so watch out. And in this yellow text, they matter as well. And we're going to set the score to 0. So once, like this said, once it tests to see if the number is 0, it'll add 1 to this score. So you'll see day start counting up. And right here it's counting up. Okay. And you can set your scoreboard to the side like I did to test this out if you'd like. Our next thing is execute if the day equals, here's our player name again, and the score is set to the same thing, 13,000, as it says right here in our numbers scoreboard. To run the score, add 1 to night. So right now this would be like the start of your world and the day would be counting up. So this is how much time is spent during the day. Once night starts counting up, that's when night goes around. And at least we're on this one. Execute if the score clock equals, we're at that player number again to run the scoreboard, move over. player set day clock to -1. So once day is set to a negative number, this will stop adding onto it. So that'll set day to negative. Execute if the scoreboard of night is greater than or equal to 1. So once this turns to 1, it's nighttime, and I'll start adding the nighttime clock to add 1 tick of time. So once we get to this part, the numbers will start adding up. Let's do that right now. If we set, scoreboard player, I'm going to set our day clock to 2,900. So when it gets to 13,000, whoops, that's in the wrong spot. Why I always do that? Once this gets to this number right here, which is sort of right here, gets to 13,000, you'll see the moon start rising. If we line this up right here and wait for it to tick over, you can see it starts rising, and that's when night comes around. It'll start getting darker. I believe we're around here somewhere. Yeah, add time to 0, so that's going. Alright, and execute if the score of, okay, so if night equals 1, and since we added 1 to that 0, back over here somewhere, the number, we're going to run the scoreboard, add player, add 1 to the clock, so that's what it's doing right now. It's counting up, so we can keep track of what time it is. Execute if the night clock equals 23,000. This is your player number, which is assigned the same number in your scoreboard called number. To run the scoreboard player, set night to 0. So what these do here, we're not going to be able to see it test until the moon goes all the way around, which probably won't happen by the end of this video. But so what this does is that once this gets to where the moon is over here, at the same time it's when the light is the same as it was when it was over there, it's going to set, where are we at? We're going to set the night clock back to 0, and that'll make it so you can, this is going to set to 0, and this later is going to be set to 0 again, so the clock will continue to go around. But over here, these two blocks you can see look different than these arrows, and everything from here to all the way up to here, you can see the arrows on them are always active and repeat and unconditional. These last two blocks are always active with repeat, but they're conditional. So once this one's done, this will test to see if this one's done and it'll start, and then this one will test to see if this one's done and it'll start. This will keep it from the time going back and forth from day to night, like super quickly, like every 2 seconds. We're going to come over here. Wait, did we look at this one already? Yeah. Over here, we're going to execute as the score of night is set to 0, which just happened over here. To run time add, we're going to add 14,000 ticks, which is going to move the moon from over here all the way around during daytime to over there. It's pretty much the same as time set night, but I want the daytime here. Let's see. I want, what is it called? Whoa! Let's clear chat real quick. I want our nighttime. Where is it? Biome server. Oh, there's right here. Day. I want the day numbers to keep going up. So instead of setting at night, we're gonna add time, which is gonna keep the day clock going. And I believe we're over here. We add that time to move the sun, and then over here, if we execute night equals number, to run scoreboard, number scoreboard, player set day to 0. So that will set this to 0, which night is already set from back over here to 0, so they're both at 0. And since day is set to 0, this is going to test to see if the execute day is set to 0, and then it's going to start counting up again. So we've looped it all the way around, and this will just keep going over and over and over. We see the time of our night is still going around, and this will continue until this number is 23,000, which is quite a ways away, but we're still getting to the end of this video. So what I'm gonna do, before I time lapse into, well, not time lapse, before I time jump to when this is almost that time, I'm gonna show you this text block right here. This keeps it, so when you sleep in a bed, you are, how do I say this? When you sleep in a bed, you obviously set the day, the time to day, which since it's always night, we don't want that. So I'm gonna head into survival mode. And what this block does is once you get into a bed, it'll kick you out by giving you poison, which is really annoying. So game mode, creative, so we can look at this. So what this does is it gives an effect to any, I think it's any, all players with an NBT tag of sleeping equals 1B. So it tests to see if you're sleeping in a bed is what this blue part is, and then if that's correct, it'll give Minecraft poison for 5 seconds with a 0 amplifier, which is poison 1. And true hides your particle here. What's it called? If we go back by 1, hide particle, and then I set that to true. It's got to be 5 seconds. If you set it less than 5 seconds, it doesn't work for some reason. But I guess you could set it to higher 5 seconds if you want. But I believe that's all I can show you. I'm going to take a little cut here to when this gets around there so you can see what happens when nighttime ends. And I'll be right back. 100. Okay, so when the time is almost at sunrise, and then, oh, look, it switched over, and then the time's back. Alright, yeah, I need to explain something to that. That is somewhere over here. Execute if number on scoreboard, player set night to 0. Okay. So what this is here, this number here is 23,000, which is when a nighttime ticks over. So 24,000 is daytime. But what this actually is if I / scoreboard set player, whoops, no, I want to set objective. And you can see over here that the clock is going back again, just to prove that before I switch our set display to a sidebar for number. If we look over here at our actual numbers, the only one that's different, because when I was testing I changed the number, you can name this 10,000, but when right here, so 23,000 actually equals 10,000. So over here when we're testing, I think it's here, test if night equals 23,000. If you look over here, if night equals 10,000, what does it actually mean? So you can change the name of it, but I decided not to change the name, because I forgot, to be honest. So really, if you want to change the name, it's like that. But I'm going to click cancel because I don't want it to mess up my world. And these other numbers you see over here are these full, half, 1/4, and all that. Those are from the player's health, which I'll explain in another video. But there's one more thing I need to tell you. I think I can do it over here. So right here, if you want to make this day-night easier, because right now this day-night makes it so all mobs can always spawn, even though it's kind of brighter over here during this day part. That's why I made it that way. But if you want to make this different, this number can be changed to 12,000, and this number, which would actually be here, I believe would be 12,000. If that's 12,000, then I believe you need to add one. I think this is 11,000. If you want to change that to make it easier so mobs don't spawn all the time. But I believe that's the end of that. What happens if I lay in it in creative mode? Don't work in creative mode. But if I go back to game mode survival, it'll work. Ow. And you can sleep and set your spawn in it still. It just won't let you sleep and change the time to night. And also sleeping will penalty of your health if your hunger is not full. Oh, we're just gonna knock our hunger down a little bit. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Let's get rid of that. See, we get poisoned for 5 seconds. How much hunger do I have? Oh, I'm in peaceful modes, so I could test that. Let's change that to easy. Why is there... Okay, this lighting glitch was from earlier, but that's really annoying. Yeah, there we go. Now we're taking damage. Alright, so that was the day-night cycle that we've got here, the always night. Obviously, when this goes all the way across to here and flips over, it looks kind of weird. But what I did to avoid that, and I set this all up for the world. I specifically wanted it to have your render distance at 2. And since your render distance is at 2, it's not big enough to see the skyline, which means the only thing you're looking at here is color. And when the moon starts over here at time set night, it ends over here before it switches back over here. And the color of this gray fog you see is the same when it switches, so you can't tell. But that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and remember to check back in if you want stronger mobs. And if you want to edit your player health for a buff when you have full health, and a debuff when you have like half health and all that, it's gonna make Village and Pillage really difficult. But we're making it difficult so we can have a Let's Play series before the Village and Pillage update actually comes out. But I believe that's it, so I'll see you in another video. Bye!